Gandy with Coming Clean, and I have a special guest today, Frankie from Atlanta, Georgia. And hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Amy?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually on my show we talk about the truth about drug addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, because I haven't never really heard your story, but I know you have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all do. We all do. Yeah.
So, have you ever been addicted to drugs or alcohol?
Yes, all of it. All of it. Anything that would change my mood and black out some of the bad things that happened, right?
Right. So, how old were you when you started?
Probably around 11 or 12, super young, because it was just so common around my household, you know, for people to use, and so we saw that so much. So I think I picked up, around 11 or 12. Some moonshine, actually. That's what you would start drinking. You'd find the moonshine jar under the cabinet in Georgia. Look, I grew up on a junkyard, so we had moonshine everywhere. Probably a distillery in the back, too.
Right.
Yeah, so we were hitting the moonshine pretty hard, straight to the white lightning, yeah.
So, how old were you when, did it ever get out of control to where you knew you hit rock bottom?
Well, and you know, there were multiple rock bottoms, and like when I talked to Amy, I was like, I can't tell my whole story, you know, in 30 minutes, but there were multiple rock bottoms and multiple ages, and multiple times I tried to stop, and that's why I talk to people so much about, you know, when they say it's a choice, because God knows I didn't want to be like that, and I didn't want to be living like that. Ooh,
right.
And I didn't want to keep going further down, and it just seemed like, you know, because it'd be the alcohol first, and drinking and young, and then you'd mess up, and things would happen. And one time, you know, I found myself, I was drunk, and I ended up getting gang raped when I was real young, and that was just, you know, that sent me over the edge and into doing things that I wouldn't have normally done. No excuse still, but you know, you have to work through those things, and it's very hard to do when you're using. And so I did end up on the streets at a young age, you know, running from a lot of that stuff,
right,
and trying to black out a lot of stuff that happened, because when you do the drugs, what happens is you do things that you're not proud of. You say and do things that you're ashamed of. You find yourself in circumstances that are extremely difficult, and that, you know, you aren't supposed to go through as a human and as a young, you know, 16, 17-year-old girl. And so you continue doing those things, I think, because the guilt and shame. And no one teaches you. I didn't know that God would forgive you and that God would love you anyway.
Right.
You know, I thought I went too far down the track.
Okay. Right.
Not lovable.
So you mentioned about it being a choice.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on that?
I don't think it's a choice at all. No. I don't get to choose this disease, and I could go out and use tomorrow. I don't get to choose. Today I'm sober, and today I'm clean. But a number of circumstances could happen, and you could find yourself back out there. I don't think anybody's above it. I've seen people with 25 years sober, and they go right back out. The devil is just straight trickery. And I don't think we choose to lead this life. I don't think that the people that are out there homeless and are struggling, they choose that way. A lot of times that's the only way they know. And like I said, you know, I didn't even know that there was a God that could love me. I didn't think anybody could. I thought that I'd went so far down the rung that I wasn't lovable. And until somebody told me that, and I think a lot of people take for granted that everybody was raised around church or around God, or they knew Him. And some people don't take that for granted because they're not introduced to that. They don't know that that's available to them, that love like Jesus has. And so they come to people like you. And then now they come to people like me, believe it or not. I know, right? But I've been there, and that's why I know, because I was a wretch. And then he came along, and the right people, if they would have not told me that I could be saved and that I was worth something and about the waters of baptism, my life would have never changed. It would have stayed the same.
So when somebody introduced you to Jesus, did you grow up with God in your house?
No.
No, me neither. So when somebody came to you about Jesus and about God, was it a struggle for you? Did you fight?
No, not at that time. I was so vulnerable, and that's another part of the story. But my daughter's father, my fiance at the time, we were about to get married, and he had killed himself. And so I was really vulnerable, really down. I was still trying to play the fence. Work, be right, take care of the kids, do the right things, but still trying to dabble when I could, still use if I could find the time, or if I wasn't going to be hungover and be able to take care of the kids, all that stuff.
Right.
You're trying to justify, you're trying to figure out a way, everybody tries to figure out a way to keep doing their drugs and have the life that God wants them to have. You can't do it. So I was down low enough, to where I knew, I was going to die if I didn't do something, and I didn't want to leave my kids. My daughter already lost her father, so I didn't want her to lose me too. So I went to a meeting. I crawled in. I don't even know how I got there. I'm like shaking, crying. I don't even know. That first year after he passed, and when I was getting sober, it's just a blank. But I know that God was leading me, and He led me to the waters of baptism. I went there dirty, guys. I didn't go there, all sparkly clean. I didn't go there with my act cleaned up and. As a minister. I didn't wait till I was a minister to go to Christ. No. I still had a long walk to go.
Right.
But I went to Him like I was, and He started working.
Amen.
Yes.
Because I had a problem with that. Somebody bringing Jesus to me. I was mad, angry. So when somebody would mention Jesus to me, I was ready to fight.
Yeah.
I just couldn't stand the name. But then, God saves you, and it's like, all you can do is share Jesus, like you do.
Yes.
In Atlanta, what are you doing in Atlanta now?
Yes. And, it just touches me, look, because I was broken. And listen, and the reason I think His name stung your ears was because the devil knew you were going to work for him.
Mm-hmm.
The devil knew what kind of damage you were going to do in the lives of some of these people that the devil's got a hold of. He knew you were going to be a warrior. He knew you were going to hold swords up and go fighting for him every day. And so that's why that name stung. And now you're working for him and just raising him up. We both are.
Right.
And what I do in Atlanta and all across the nation now, God uses me. I go out to places like Skid Row, south side of Chicago, the Wild Wild West in Jacksonville. They're right here. I'm in Atlanta all the time. I live there, and I'm in the Bluff. They made a movie about it, Snow on the Bluff, and it's the 5th most dangerous place in the nation, the largest open-air drug market in the nation, and just a war zone. And we go there. My friends live there.
Big human trafficking.
A lot of human trafficking. Atlanta is the hub for human trafficking. Just finished up a documentary on that. And guys, it is no joke. There are people out there. Do not turn a blind eye. Live in a bubble. Get out of your zip code if you don't see any of this stuff that we're talking about. Go out there and investigate for yourself. This stuff is happening. There's 2,500 souls, Jesus Christ souls, that He loves, His children, just like us, living on Skid Row with 9 bathrooms. They are in the worst human filth that should never happen in the United States. In the south side of Chicago, before I got there, and even while I was there, ambulances on every corner, people getting shot. Most of those people getting shot and killed are under 17 years old. In the Bluff, the drugs going. We were over there the other day, somebody slinging a body over their shoulder and just walking down. Nobody even pays attention. These kids and these people are living in these areas that are not worth living in. They are living in conditions that don't just put them at risk, kids, but it puts them on a whole different level. Most of the people over there don't even have electricity. They'll have buckets sitting under their spigot coming out catching water from the rain. They're living like third world country, and then we're sitting here with a blind eye, and a lot of it has to do with addiction. Their parents are going to prison, their parents are addicted, their parents are selling themselves, and in areas like that. And
Yes.
the human trafficking and the prostitution, every young person that goes out on the street, it's not if, it's when they'll get raped, every young woman, and it's not if, it's when they'll get sold. They'll sell their self for money for food, or to sleep somewhere for a night, or to sleep in a car, whatever. When you're in that situation, you'll do things you don't even know and that you don't even think. And these people are human just like you. And a lot of them, again, it can be the environment. It can be where you're from. Luck of geography, I call it sometimes.
Right. And, you know, the genetic aspect of it.
Mhm.
You know, the generational curse, they
Oh,
call it.
gosh,
It's
yeah.
because that's how they grew up.
Yeah.
You know, they know no different.
That's right.
And until they see different, they don't know.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
you know, that's why it's important that people like us
Mhm.
are out here in the open.
Mhm.
And they know, you know, we can go to them for help.
Mhm.
And I always try to tell everybody, every time I see them, you know, when you need help, I'm here.
Yeah.
Because even though they don't want help that day, they have that seed. You've planted that seed.
Mhm.
You know, and we get phone
Totally.
calls, you know, we get phone calls all the time, and that's God using us. You know, we're living vessels for Jesus.
Living sacrifice. Make yourself a
Yes.
holy living sacrifice. We've got another group of Pastor Timeline and them that
Oh, yeah.
do ministry with us, and that verse is what they go by. And I believe that. I believe, you know, a lot of these people, and I'm out there, you know, and you'll have the grandma sitting out on the porch with the 8-year-old, and they're both smoking weed. It's generational poverty, and they've been taught, you know, the girls a lot of times, the more babies they have, the bigger their check's going to be. So they go out and do that. I mean, and guys, look, we have got a lot of duties in life, and it is fun to do them. It is fun to get married. It's fun to have kids. It's fun to have a job. It's fun to get into a D1 college, whatever it is that you're doing. Those things are fun. But look, if you're a Christian, you believe in this book right here. I've got somebody's who's torn and have mine. But either way, if you believe in this book and you call yourself a Christian, your job is to go and tell people about Him and about what He did for you. That's your number one duty. And when you get that right, and when you go out to these people, and so churches, we have got to be the hands and feet. Got to be the hands and feet. And so that, you know, I just believe that we have to do that. I believe that more people from the churches have to get out there beyond the four walls, because these people aren't coming into the church.
And
Let's be real.
you know, and I call it the really saved people, because
Yeah.
the Spirit enters you and you have no choice but to do God's work.
That's right.
So we have to go to a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Hi, we're Rich and Lee Norton with the Hands and Feet Foundation. Hands and Feet is a wonderful ministry where we serve on the west side of Jacksonville, Florida.
And this is a ministry that's near and dear to our heart. There's so many wonderful things that happen out there. Come to 7478 103rd Street, Jacksonville, Florida, or you can go to handsandfeetfoundation.org, or if you want to go to Facebook, Hands and Feet Westside. Come and see what we do. Check us out. If you'd like to give, or if you'd like to donate your time, whatever it may be. I mean, we're just loving this ministry. Love for you to be part of it as well.
Alrighty, so we're back, and before the break we were talking about why we do what we do. And so Frankie, how like did your ministry come about? Like, I know it's Bible based.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Definitely Bible-based, and I spent a long time in the woods. So, you know, after Chad passed away, he took his life, and I was pretty lonely, and I was out of it, and I was going to meetings. I was just struggling. I had a 3-month-old, a 4-year-old. I was about to get evicted from my apartment. Had a bankruptcy, had DUI, you know, no money, $0. And I just decided I'm not going to be a lifetime statistic. I'm not going to be like a Lifetime movie. I'm going to go out and I'm going to, you know, make something of the life that I've been given. And one of the things was, you know, and I spent so many years, you know, 9 or 10 years, I call it, in the wilderness, where I was just in the Word. My Bible from that time, you know, they always say a person's Bible that's fallen apart, that person's put together, right? So in those 9 or 10 years, man, my Bible ain't even together. That Bible, I keep it and I'll take it when I go to speak, and it's completely in like 3 or 4 pieces. And I spent time in the woods with him, and I was celibate, complete. I worked, I took care of my kids, and I studied his word. I stayed in his word all the time, and I had to have it just close to me to get through the days because I worked so hard, and I'd have 14-hour days sometimes. And
What did you do for a living?
well, at that point, and I can show you my W-2s too, and what happened there, because it's crazy. Because when I had the 3-month-old, the 4-year-old, the dead husband, 2 kids, 2 last names, no apartment. I mean, no respect, because everybody thought I was just a loser. Everybody even told my mom, she's not going to make it. Her computer is shut down. She's not going to be anything. Give up on her. And I made maybe $20,000 a year. Well, let me just tell you what God does. Because within 4 years, I was making 6 figures, and I can show you the W-2 that leads right to that. I own multiple homes now, multiple cars. They all go in reverse, and I'm doing ministry full time, and God is providing everything that we have. My kids are healthy and good, and thank God my son has been brought through some rough stuff too. But God is right there with me, and I don't say any of that to brag, because I've walked away from the corporate world now and care less about the money. Now I'm all focused 100% on Jesus and spreading His word. And so that's when I got the call. It was about 3 years ago, and boy was I confused, because I was just I was no good. I didn't think I was smart in the word. I don't have any degrees in theology. I had a degree in sells and real estate, and I had sold all my life, cars, houses, and stuff like that, and so I didn't, I just didn't feel adept. I still don't really feel smart enough, and to be called a minister or a pastor, or some of these names that people have given me and referred to me as. But he kept on. I went down to the streets, and he kept saying, do what you can with what you have wherever you are, because my answer to him was, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough, I'm not in the right place. Let me wait till I'm here. Let me wait till I've got this. Let me wait till I've got enough money to retire. Let me wait until I've got a husband, because look, I'm on my own. I've been on my own this whole time. So I was like, wait, I need extra hands. I need help. I got the kids. I got all this. So we just went out though one day to the streets. We took a sheet, laid sandwiches down, clothes, ministered with the people, and I was sold. That was what I was supposed to do. That was, I walked into Atlanta Recovery and I said, how can I help? And it has just been on since. And I've ministered in front of people like Alveda King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece. I was a Grand Marshal of the parade. I've been with Mayweathers and taken them all around the city, and ministered to people that I just would never think possible, and been in groups and ministered in front of 3,000 people, and done music. I've written books. I'm writing another book now. So he has just, I'm like, use me up, God. Use every ounce of me till there ain't nothing left, because I'm not going to leave this battlefield alive.
Right.
I'm out here for life.
And you can't take anything with you.
You ain't going to get to take anything with you. I'm going to take some people with me. I'm going to take some souls with me. But yeah, so we're doing it for him, and I just answered the call, and he has just been blessing me ever since. And just, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men, and that's what this Bible says, and I never believed it. And I always believed what people said about me. I believed that I, was a W-H-O-R-E. Yeah. I believed that I was, a druggie, that I was a junkie, that I was a loser, that I was a stealer, that I was a thief, that I was a dealer, that I was, just all the horrible things, And Jesus, with Him, I'm not. I'm saved. I'm redeemed. I'm free. I am, a chain breaker now. I help people get set free.
Right, exactly. A miracle.
Oh, it's a miracle.
Yes.
It's a miracle, and it's just wonderful. And to get to see people go from the darkness to the light through Him, and Him allow you to be used to make that happen. Nothing like it.
No, there's not.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way, once you do that, once that happens, once God does that, and He does it using you, there's no way you can go back to. So I know that I did relapse while I was doing ministry. And while I was out there, I wasn't happy in it. You know, I knew this is wrong. You know, you're supposed to be up there saving souls, you know, and look at what you're doing. So it didn't take me long to come back. But I know there's a lesson learned in everything that, you know, that I have been through.
Yes.
And, you know, that's why I always tell somebody, when they get clean and they mess up, you know, don't let your pride keep you away. Because, you know, you never know when the miracle's going to happen. And, you know, it took me 10 times. And,
That's what it takes.
right. So, Matthew
5:16. Go out and let your light shine so that others may see your good works and glorify our Father in heaven. That's what shine his light is built on. And he just kept on in my head. And when you've got a call, and you can pretend you don't all you want to, but everybody's got a call in their life. Jesus is calling you to something. You've got that urge, that hedge. People told me, how do you know? And I'm like, because I know my Father's voice. Because in the Bible it tells you, my sheep will know my voice. So I know his voice. So I don't have to go to a friend or to my mama for any advice now. I can go straight to the King. I can go straight to the throne, and you can too. The cool thing about it is it's for everybody. This is for everybody. This isn't just for me. This isn't just for Amy. This is for everybody, and boy, it's freedom. And it's a freedom like no other, and it is an ongoing freedom. And like those drugs or that sex or anything else that you might do that's temporary and that's here on this earth, that high lasts. I stay on one.
right.
I stay on one as long as I stay serving and I stay walking on his mission field, and I stay learning and growing, and I stay around his sheep and the lost. That's where I'm happiest. So each of you guys, I would ask you to get on your knees today and just ask God, show me the call for my life. What do you have for me, God? What would you have me do? And I don't care if he says go sing in a bucket in the middle of the street. Go do it, because he's got a plan for it. That's going to touch somebody. I mean, I don't care what he tells you to do and how outlandish it seems, because I'm the only white female, the only person to ever rap on the historic Ebenezer stage. And I'm an older white female. I'm not some young black kid, you know, that does that for a living. So he will send you to do things that will sound unordinary to you. But we are not meant to understand those things. We're just meant to walk in it. So when he calls us to something, say yes, and I promise you that he will meet you right there, and he will bless you and reward you highly because you did say yes to him. There's favor in that.
Amen. There
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And I always, tell people, be specific when you pray.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Only because,
That is so good. Oh,
Because, you
God,
can-
just make it better.
Right.
You know?
And I'm telling James,
Yeah.
I'm like, when you pray for me, please be specific. You know?
Yeah. Get it right.
Right,
Look.
there's a whole umbrella,
Yes, that's true. Don't generalize it. And when you do, and listen, and I'm telling you, seek and you shall find.
Yes.
Knock and the door will be open. It will, and don't doubt him. He can rain down the blessings, and don't get tired of waiting, because I'll tell you, the waiting sometimes is good. The waiting, the patience, the leaning on him, the just, when he is sharpening you. And I didn't know when I was in that fire and when I was in those years in the forest how much I'd miss him, how much I'd miss just now that I'm so busy and that everybody's pulling you in every direction and you're helping people and you're serving and you're doing all these things. I miss those days when it was just me and my Bible.
Yeah.
The phone wasn't ringing.
Right.
That I didn't, have a bunch of people calling. There wasn't need there, and so enjoy those days. If he's got you in the forest, if he's got you, sitting down, if he's got you feel like at home with the kids all the time, or you're tied down, you're in a wheelchair, maybe you can't go out and serve. Man, boy, you can pray. You can pray up your ministry. You can pray up mine. You can pray up these people in the streets. You can pray for our leaders. You can pray for, our children. You can pray for the homeless. You can pray for the strongholds that have these people to be broken. And now look, Jesus had those people walking around the desert for 400 years. So if you do not believe that he can have these homeless and these addicts walking around here for a good 25, and that's what I say about the bluff, and he can't release them, and he can't break those strongholds. If you don't believe that can happen, then you have got to come and talk to me. And you have got to come to the streets with me, because we got to get that clear that he can.
Yes.
These stories in this Bible really happened. They really happened. People were really broken. People were really set free. Sticks were turned into, serpents, all kind of stuff. God is able to do anything. And the only limitation is our mind and what we believe he can do. When he went back to his hometown and was around his family, he couldn't even heal them because they didn't believe him. They thought, that's just old Jesus. That's just my brother. We grew up with him. He ain't nothing special. But that lady that grabbed a piece of his skirt, and she believed so much that she said, if I can just touch him, if I can just get close enough to touch him, she fought people out of the way. And she said, if I can just touch him, I know he can heal me. If you have belief like that, there's nothing that can stop you, and you're on a mission. And those strongholds that the devil has on you, they'll be broken. That,
Yes.
like a flash.
Yes. The saying, that God will if you allow him.
Amen.
And,
Amen.
that's one of the hardest parts,
Yeah.
is allowing him. So I know you were talking about, you rap.
I do.
Do you have one? Like a minute one?
I don't know. We could do something. Hey, I got a new one. Dirty knees, dirty knees. Listen, I said my knees are dirty and my back is tired, but the good Lord above is going to save my life. I said my knees are dirty and my back is tired, but the good Lord above is going to save my life. Lost my shirt and my shoes, and I've been singing the blues to myself in a bottle. Somehow I forgot all the tears in the blood, because I confuse them for love, and I'm just looking above. So just tell me how come. It's never enough when it's all that you got, and they just leave you to pray for the light of day. But the sun never shines, and the nights are too long, so you keep holding on to the sides of your grave till you hit your knees and you start to pray. I need to be saved, Lord. I need to be saved.
Amen.
Yes, we do it like that in Atlanta.
All right, everybody. That was great, Frankie. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for taking the time for being with us.
Yes,
and
thank
we love
you.
you, and we're always praying for your ministry.
Thank you, and same with you. Keep doing what you do.
Yes.
Loving people.
Amen. That's all, y'all.
Listen, man, please just get some of here. Just laying on the floor. There's a freaking needle. It's bent, and I don't know what the hell it is. All right, man, so I don't know.